we can go into pushing people from places where they push gay people off of buildings.
Yeah.
That's what people are worried about.
And that's where I really lose patience with the so-called sort of feeling left, where when it suits them, they ignore, like in Gaza. What do they think Hamas's views are on gay people?
Yeah.
I mean, they see what the Iranian regime's views of gay people are for the reason that you've just said, but they seem to give them a complete pass on this and all these marches.
Yeah.
And you think, I think I read over the weekend that Peter Tatchell was arrested at a pro-Palestinian march. I mean, probably the most famous gay person in the country, because he had a banner which said, "No to the Israeli genocide, no to Hamas terrorists." And he was abused on this march, but he was the one that got arrested.
Yeah. And
unbelievable.
He said I think he tried to make it clear it was by the sort of the concern about the Palestinian, that he had been offensive towards Muslims, I think, or towards Palestine.
I mean, he actually... is the ultimate heretic, isn't he?
He's been on.
I know he has.
Oh, we had an argument. Well, no, we didn't actually.
Well,
he was good.
I haven't listened to that episode, but I will do, because I mean, I really admire Peter. I mean, he's faced a huge amount of flack in his time. Some of it he does bring on himself, it has to be said. But I think he's an absolute hero. Every country needs a Peter Tatchell.
He went and had a fight, I think, with Mugabe.
Yeah.
I mean, just what a character.
If for nothing else, you have to respect him for that.
I know. The only thing is, and I don't want to go into it, but I got a lot of abuse from people when Peter came on because of some things he's written in The Guardian previously, which he claims has been misunderstood and taken out of context about adult-child relations.
Yeah, when he came onto my podcast, we had a similar reaction from people, shall we say.
Yeah. I mean, look, that's what he says, and I've got a lot of people unsubscribed because of that. Really? So be it. As far as I was concerned, he was talking about a very different topic. We were debating gender, and he was one of the very few people on sort of the other side to me who didn't. He argued fairly.
Yeah.
He disagreed with everything I said, but he was fair. He wasn't going for low blows. Didn't call me a transphobe or anything like that. So I thought we'd talk about that. And the rest of that is very tricky, and I don't need to touch that at that point, because he's said what he said, which is that he says he didn't mean that, and that's
Isn't that weird nowadays that just because you have someone on a podcast, people translate that into you obviously agreeing with everything they think and say, and the whole point of it is that. I mean, you and I will agree on some things and we won't agree on others. There will be some of your listeners, viewers who think, what have you got him on for? He's not a heretic. Well, maybe we'll come on to a few things that might prove people wrong.
I think you are, though, because you speak to people on both sides. You're a conservative, but some people...
Oh, but am I?
Or were you?
No, I
you are.
I am.
But you're accused of not being one. I am still
what I always have been. But if you believe Twitter tells me every day that I'm a Liberal Democrat. And I'm thinking, well, if I was a Liberal Democrat, I would support the Liberal Democrats. I never have and never would, because I don't believe in most of what they say. There are some things I'm sure I do. But I believe in a small state. I believe in low taxes. I don't believe in PR. I believe in Brexit. They don't believe in any of those things. So why on earth do people think I'm a Liberal Democrat? Because I'm liberal on social issues. And therefore, I'm a traitor to the so-called small c conservative cause.
And it's a weird one, because the social issues almost shouldn't be related to left and right, really. No. It's just a whole mishmash, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, what was Margaret Thatcher a liberal when she was one of the few conservatives in 1967 to vote to legalise homosexuality? I mean, was that betraying the conservative cause? I don't think so.
We all have those little habits, tapping a pen, chewing gum, fiddling with stuff while we think. Mine, I found something way more satisfying. This is Fume. The sponsor of today's video, and it's honestly one of the most interesting things I've tried. It's a flavoured air device, not a vape, not a gimmick, just a really smart tool for people who like to keep their hands and mouth busy without inhaling anything nasty. No vapor, no nicotine, just natural flavours. Weighted premium design you actually want to fidget with. Clicks, magnets and airflow that sound great even on mic. My favourite flavour, mint. It's clean, sharp and leaves you with surprisingly fresh breath. If you're curious, over 500,000 people already use Fume as part of their daily routine. Grab the journey pack at tryfume.com/heretics. Use code heretics and they'll throw in a free topper to level up the experience. Scan the QR code on screen and check it out. I wonder if there's also a generational issue here, and I thought this when I spoke with David Baddiel, who disagreed a lot on sort of the, he had that Jews don't count thing, and he sort of his argument, I don't want to simplify it, but it seemed to be they should allow Jews into this hierarchy of oppression, the woke hierarchy of oppression, rather than not. And mine was, no, we should dismantle this whole, judging people by their hierarchy of their races and things like that. And I got to think, he grew up in a world that was, in his mind anyway, very racist in terms of, and I know he's accused of that as well because of the pineapple thing he did, but people were horrible just to Jews in the street, to black people in the street, to Asians and things like that. I grew up in a world that was the topsy-turvy, and younger people than me even more so, utterly devoid of any, black, not that there's no racism. I know I'm stumbling over my words here. And I wonder if there's a certain age you get to where that sort of stays imprinted on your mind. So no matter what happens in 30 years, I will still have my idea of how it is. Does that make any sense?
To an extent. I mean, I said I am what I've always been. Yes, to an extent, but you can't remain static. Somebody I was at university with, I don't know if you've heard of him, Mark Seddon, he ended up as editor of Tribune. He was a great Michael Foot supporter. I remember doing debates with him at university. I tried to get him sacked as student union president because he was funneling funds to striking miners.
Oh, right.
Happy days. And he, 45 years on? Oh, my God, on now. I mean, he looks the same, he dresses the same, and his views have not changed one iota. I don't look the same. I had lots of hair in those days. My views, my core views have changed the same, but the problems that we face in Britain in 2025 are not the same as 1979, apart from one or two things. Because what I have worked out is that politics and economics are cyclical. In the 1990s, after the 92 election, we thought there would never be a Labour government again because they'd lost that election which they looked destined to win. We thought we'd eradicated strikes. We thought we'd eradicated inflation. And yet 30 years on, hey, guess what? Jeremy Corbyn's leader of the Labour Party. We've got strikes again. And we've had inflation in the last 2 years. Unemployment's creeping up again. So there's nothing really new in our politics and economics. You just sort of repeat things and you have to learn from them. I mean, I think there are lessons that we can learn from what happened in the 1980s, but you can't just simply take the Thatcherism of the 1980s and impose it on the economy of the 2020s. It doesn't work like that.